I really wanted to think of a funny intro to do, but no, we've decided that we're going to start taking this seriously. So, welcome to the official SCM podcast. It's no longer Pandemic Podcast, Seth. No longer. We are going completely legit. We're going straight. We're going to take this seriously. Seriously. Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, it's good to be back because we did the last podcast together, right?
And it's been a while.
It has been a while.
Like
so
at least a month.
As you guys have probably figured, and we've a lot's happened. You guys have been up to date with us. If you're joining with us, if you guys are tracking with us on YouTube, we took a break for a while. We wanted to do some brainstorming. We wanted to do some just ideas of what we wanted to do next and kind of what the next season looks like for us here at Student Culture Movement. So here we are. We're going to put out some regular podcasts for you guys. We're going to start dealing with some very relevant topics, not just, and the pandemic podcasts were great because, we were able to kind of give you tools of just stuff to get you through the pandemic and as far as when we weren't meeting, but now we're back together. Things are great.
But hey, why stop?
Why stop? More
content is never a bad thing.
Exactly. So, let's why don't we talk about some pretty more in-depth stuff, more real stuff. Let's be serious.
Yeah. Let's get
serious. Yeah. So, today, Seth, I actually wanted to talk and I think this is very timely just because of how it's coming to it's the end. It's almost the end of August.
Yeah, but basically, I haven't thought to myself at any point shoot, summer's almost over, just because I never felt like I had summer, because
I stopped keeping track of what day it was in March.
We had summer in March this year.
Yeah,
March 13th. I actually remember was the last day of school.
It was pretty crazy.
So when we transitioned to summer, that meant nothing.
Oh yeah,
absolutely nothing. All that meant for me was I never got to live out my last days of high school. So
oh yeah, and it's it's not even that big a deal. So take what you will, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, I wanted to talk about how do I put this? I want to talk about surviving high school, and we wanted to give you guys some tips and tricks for making it alive. And so this is kind of kind of a cool conversation because you're fresh out, literally just graduated.
Yeah,
I've been out of it for 4 years and had to kind of live in sort of young adult life for quite some time, and so I've had some time to think and figure out okay, I wish I did this back in high school. I wish I did this. I wish I learned this. So Seth and I are gonna talk about just some stuff about high school, stuff you can do to help survive it, help you can get you through it.
My best advice to you is watch old what's it called when they play an old episode of TV? A rerun? Watch reruns of Ned's Declassified School Survival
Man, you're
Guide.
that old, huh? You don't even know what a rerun is. You've had the luxuries of streaming and you do not. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I mean, I don't know.
No, don't actually. That show was awful.
I didn't. I used to like it as a kid, but I don't know.
It was funny as a kid, but
that was definitely the age demographic though. So it's that makes sense. But
okay. Serious.
Anyway, so Seth, what would you say? And now I guess you would have more perspective on this just coming fresh out, and I don't know what the high school's like anymore. I don't know what the the secondary education system's like anymore. But what would you say would be the most important classes to take during high school? As in over the course of your 4 years, and maybe we got some grade 9s who are just coming fresh into high school, and obviously you guys probably have picked your classes by now, but what would you say are some of the most important topics to learn and classes to take?
Okay, I'll start with practicalities. Faith aside, I think in grade 9 and 10, in grade 9 and 10 you barely get any electives, right? In ninth grade you get one elective, and in grade 10 I think you get two. First the 4 and 6 in grade 11 and 12. But anyways, in grade 9 and 10, some important classes to pay attention in, as much as you're going to hate hearing this, are civics and careers, because learning about your government and learning about the workforce, that's going to come in handy when you're older. That's stuff you need to know. And you have to pay attention in English. And I know you're probably saying, Seth, like, when am I ever going to be paying my taxes and reciting Shakespeare? That's not what I mean. It's not the... It's more the theoretical part of English. That
I mean, doing that is more common than you might think. Whenever I'm at my accountant, he always goes, "Hey, what was that one line in Macbeth?" You know, always,
No,
every time, without fail. It's kind of crazy, actually. I should get a new account.
I'm not saying the content in your English class is important, but the way it shapes your mind and the way you work with it does. It helps you learn to read and write and interpret, and it'll help you in every other class.
No, absolutely.
It'll help you with your communication skills when you're in a job interview. It'll help you socialize with adults. And yeah, you'll just be able to read and write better and score higher in your other classes.
No, absolutely. I actually found that, and I would actually throw philosophy in there as well.
Yeah, for
sure.
So
so I guess tip number one: take your English class seriously, and also study philosophy. I would throw that kind of in the same boat, as it's like, you're engaging with different materials, you're engaging with different ideas, and then especially as a Christian, just understanding, okay, what are some ideologies, what are some thoughts out there that either contribute to my faith or take away from my faith, right? I think of my because I took philosophy in high school, and it was phenomenal. I'm really glad that I took it. And one of the things we learned about was the Socratic method, from Socrates, right? Of rationalizing a position. And Socrates was crazy because he would basically he was nuts.
I've
because
pronounced Socrates wrong my whole life, and I'm not gonna tell you.
How did you pronounce it?
Socrates.
For everyone.
Socrates.
Oh my gosh!
I always thought that was okay. Anyways,
the education system has failed you. Okay,
I didn't take philosophy.
That would be the problem. Okay, so Socrates was crazy because he was executed by the Athenian government. But what was crazy about Socrates is that his whole thing was he would just ask people like a million questions about whatever, and he wouldn't like state an opinion or anything. He would just ask questions and have them rationalize it, right? But he was executed by the Athenian government. I think it was for this reason, which means that he basically annoyed people into killing him. That's pretty nuts. They charged him with impiety, and we're like, nope, you're done. And that was crazy. But anyways, yeah. I guess that was a long tangent, but I remember being in that class and I learned about this method, and it's actually helped me out a lot in regards to figuring out my faith, in regards to engaging ideas, engaging different thoughts. And actually when I talk to people, you get to the truth a lot easier when you actually figure out, like, okay, there's a sort of rationalization process we have to go through here. And yeah, so that's kind of,
yeah. And another course that'll help you in your faith, like you said philosophy for faith reasons, right? Because
faith minorly, but I don't know. So I think most importantly, I say philosophy.
So much, like when it comes to studying and learning and discussing the Bible, like there is so much philosophy behind it.
Oh,
like
totally.
Totally. Like in order to be a pastor, you have to learn theology, and that is literally just philosophy of the Bible. Like the amount of philosophy there is in faith is crazy.
I mean, I hope there aren't any theology professors or anything watching this who's gonna have your head for saying that. But
am I wrong?
Kind of, but
it's like
no, it's
philosophy.
No. It's I think that's an okay kind of definition of it. It's philosophy of the Bible. It's more. I'm so sorry to expose you on the internet.
No, that's okay.
Theology is the study of God.
Yeah.
So I suppose you could say that, but no, that's still a really good kind of analogy to make. And I say philosophy just because I think that there are a lot of problems today in our culture and today in our world because people don't understand, kind of not basic ideas, but kind of more complex ideas that people have, and complex ideologies that find a way to kind of, sift its way into people's minds, subconsciously, right? So I think a big example of this is, like Marxism, right? Mm-hmm. Karl Marx, as a philosopher, and Marxism, period, he was very anti-religious, very anti-religious. Thought that religion was the bane of society, and that obviously more, and he was more kind of political philosophy, where more power should go to the government, and with accompanied that in his philosophy was that we needed to deconstruct the family because the family as a support structure is kind of in the way of more government power, and the same thing with religion, right? And so I've only just recently learned this as well. And so, you'll meet people. I've met some people who go like, I'm a Christian and a Marxist. And I'm like, you can't have both. You cannot have both, both of those things. Right. And that's totally just out of ignorance for what one of those things were. And that's obviously kind of more complex and we won't get into it here. But like, yeah, like I don't think you could ever go wrong with studying complex ideas that people have had about the world, about reality, about culture, about any of these things, right? And I think you're putting yourself in a really good spot when you learn some of these ideas, as well as just learn how to think through them. That kind of makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, I would say that.
And okay, so I'll add on to that. Definitely take anthro or psychology. The more you know about culture and well, we live in a world where communication is so ideal, right? Like the way we move forward is through each other. Nobody builds a business, nobody gets a house by not talking to anyone, by not contributing to society.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
And whether you contribute good or you contribute horribly, you can't go anywhere in life without contributing to society. So learning about how society functions and how the mind works and how people and cultures work, that is so important. I
have actually thought this for quite some time. And I've actually kind of been mad at my high school for not doing this, but I have actually thought for quite some time that the high school age and high school time, I kind of feel like that was actually the intent, was to set me up to be a person that is ready to contribute to society, to contribute to Canada or my community or my province.
And that's where my thought process comes, is the whole point of high school is to prepare you for society. That's what high school does. Elementary school teaches you basic life skills. High school is there to get you out into the world. That's what high school is for. Or it's to get you into college and then get you out into the world. But if you don't know anything about our society, then how are you supposed to contribute to it?
Yeah, for sure.
So I definitely think high schools should implement more teachings about how society functions. Because, for example, millennials are labeled as a helpless generation, but that's because nobody taught them how to function in society. That's a part of Gen X? That's a part of their fault, is they haven't trained their children. They haven't trained the next generation how to go and contribute.
Oh, that's very interesting. So, I guess, and I don't want to move on and talk about another thing that's super big in this kind of age bracket and this time. And I remember reflect back on my experience as well. And I think of some of my friends I grew up with and kind of my friends back then. And, I've always noticed, and I think everyone knows this, but I think one of the big struggles of high school is learning to balance and learning how to navigate your social life, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess, in your experience, how important was your social life? That is in maintaining it, not in that, we should obviously learn to be sociable with each other and learn how to interact with people. But in the grand scheme of, homework, volunteer time, church volunteering at church, how important was it that you maintained a social life?
Okay, well,
or how valuable was it?
To partly add on to the last question, I'm gonna say your social life is the second most important part of high school, and the most important part, I'd say, is to take the classes you need to take for your career options. Take practical classes like co-op or anything like that teaches you life skills. But your social life is so important. Your morale, the way you enjoy high school, the way you remember high school, the way you're motivated to go to high school and work hard is all about your social life. And especially as a Christian, your social life is the biggest factor in high school of whether you're going to fall or walk away. Change my mind.
Really?
Oh,
Huh.
for sure.
That's kind of a hot take.
Well, it is a hot take, and I know it's your responsibility. Your faith is your responsibility, but without without your friends mentoring you and without surrounding yourself with other people of faith, how the heck are you supposed to avoid temptation? How are you supposed to? How are you like? Let me think of how I'm trying to say this. If you are not surrounding yourself with what you want to be, how are you supposed to be that thing?
Yeah,
If I
well,
want to be a Christian, I have to surround myself
it's
with.
just like I think it's Proverbs, iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like yeah, that 100% makes sense, and that
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that passage is just talking about finding good people to surround yourself with, and that we're supposed to be looking out for each other and teaching each other and growing with each other. But I think that is kind of reflects the importance of actually having a good community. That we surround ourselves with our brothers and sisters, not only our brothers and sisters in Christ, but find some solid non-Christian people as well, and just be a part of your community.
And as
Right?
Christians, another thing I'll say about social life is if you don't have a good group of friends, how are you supposed to minister to other kids in your high school? How are you supposed to bring Jesus to your high school by yourself? It's not that easy.
You know what? I actually think it kind of reminds me,
and without making friends, how are you?
I kind of think of something that one of my professors said in school, and now, granted, I didn't have great study habits when I was in high school, and so my first year of Bible college was horrendous. I did not take it seriously at all, and I did horribly, right? And so it was like, and so this comment was really funny out of context, because I was in one of my first year Bible college classes, and somebody just said like, yeah, like Jesus wasn't a hermit. I can't tell you the context of that comment. It was in class. No idea where it came from.
No idea what it meant.
No idea what it meant. I wasn't paying attention. And all of a sudden, Jesus wasn't a hermit. And I was like, yeah, he wasn't. And so that I bring that up now because I think of even Jesus lived the perfect life. He was the Son of God, and kind of I like to think that Jesus knew what he was doing with his life. Okay, because he was perfect and because he was constantly communing with God. Yeah, I think that's a solid claim to make. But Jesus had surrounded himself by 12.
Well, I mean,
12
his purpose was not his main purpose, but part of his purpose was to be perfect. So I think by being perfect, he knew what he was doing. He knew his goals in life.
It's definitely a safe claim to make that I made. I definitely top of my class, me. But yeah, like Jesus had surrounded himself with and he was obviously mentoring 12 disciples, but he still had surrounded himself with a pretty solid community of guys, right? And I don't know if you know this, but there weren't a whole lot of Christians back in that day.
No. The world didn't like them very much.
No. Well, I mean, I was making.
I mean, they still don't. But
was there any Christians when Jesus was alive, or were they just Jewish people following Jesus?
You know what I meant.
That was the point I was trying to make. But
you knew what I meant.
Anyways, even Jesus understood the value of community, and understood the value of having people around, and so I think if we even just following Jesus's model, we are bound to have a decent social life, one where we're interacting with our church members, people from our youth group, and as well that should also kind of bleed out into our interactions with people outside the church as well. And actually, a conviction that I hold myself to, and I'm working really hard to fix. I personally don't even have that many non-Christian friends, which really sucks. And I'm working on that and trying to find other people, not for the sake of just having non-Christian friends, but like I just want to be a part of my community, want to be in the world, right?
As a student, like I said before, as a student, your most important thing is what classes you take and how well you do in them. But as a Christian, your social life is the more important aspect of high school. Our great commission as Christians, what we were commissioned here to do was to evangelize, to spread the gospel, to teach people about God, to teach people about Jesus. For sure. So if we don't even make an effort to have a social life, how in the heck are we supposed to evangelize to the people in our high school? We won't make an impact. We won't make a difference.
For sure. Do you have any tips and tricks for making it alive? or in a solid place, making it a high school life?
Definitely work hard, but not too hard. I know a lot of people who worked too hard in high school and regretted it, or it just completely damaged their mental health. Because let's be real, you need time to rest, you need time to calm down and just relax. That's just everyone knows that, but some people just don't like to do that. Definitely get good friends. I've learned now that I'm out of high school that popularity did not mean jack crap. I in my old school,
I'm gonna bleep out the word crap and make it sound like you swore.
Would you rather I say crap?
Hey. Hey. This is a family-friendly show.
Okay, this is a podcast.
We're taking it very seriously.
So I've been to 2 high schools, and in my old high school, I hung out with some popular kids in my grade. And don't get me wrong, they're great guys. I love them, and they're a lot of fun. But it really did nothing for me. Like, guys, I love you, I really do. It's just having a few really good close friends will make such a difference in high school. The memories you'll make, just how much you enjoy high school is based off of good friendship, not quantity of friendships.
For sure, yeah.
And don't only take classes you think are important. You need some room for classes that you'll enjoy, whether it's gym class or music or a comtech. Just take something that'll help you enjoy your time in high school, but also make sure that you're taking classes that'll help you.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say I have...
And try and get along with your teachers. As much as you might want to be a class clown, just your high school experience is going to be horrible if you're always getting in trouble. That's just the truth.
Yeah, I suppose so. I would say I have one or two. And this is just kind of, me reflecting and me thinking of my high school years. And the unfortunate matter of fact is that, obviously the education system has changed a lot since I was in high school. I would also say that our culture has changed a lot since I've been in high school. And, I hear some stories from you or, from some of you other guys, I'll hear some stuff coming out of the high schools and I'm like, man, like that wasn't something that I had to deal with. That wasn't something that was being fostered at when I was in school. Right. And I think, and so we say, these are important classes to take, or these are important topics to study. And I want to differentiate the two. There's a difference between taking the class and studying the topic, right? I reflect on myself and I hear horror stories from schools and stuff. And, like some of these classes that we've even talked about, like philosophy or, taking English seriously or, civics and careers, right? When I was in high school, that class was horrible.
Oh,
it was horrible.
Still
is.
It was the most
not...
But easily, grade 9 business was worse. But other than that, civics and careers most boring class I've ever had to be part in. But it's important, so pay attention.
Exactly. So it was boring, but like in my experience, it was pretty well not very well taught, right? Like we never really had like class time or lessons. We like my teacher basically sat us down on a computer, and went read, and I was like, read what? It was absolutely crazy. But the whole concept of civics and careers obviously, contribute to society, but you also learn how our society works. You learn how government works. You learn how all this stuff works. But anyways, so I say all that to say, that there are some classes you take, or there's some things that you kind of have to study on your own, because the reality is our education system doesn't do well to actually set us up or teach us well. Some classes are mismanaged. Some classes are mistaught, right? And then alongside that, there's some stuff that I think is being fostered in our high schools that is just patently false but culturally true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Without getting into the actual nitty-gritties of it, I'm sure you guys can think of some things that is, true for our culture but not true scientifically or something. Factually. Yeah. And so it's like there's something. So I bring that up as in like, yes, get a good grade and yes, pass and yes, but we need to have integrity as Christians to what we actually believe as well, right? And so, like I guess where I'm trying to go with this thought like, yeah, like there's some things even that we're telling you here that's not going to quite work all the time.
Yeah.
But it's still important stuff. And at the end of the day, we have to be integral to that which what we believe, that which we know to be true, right? Yeah, that's all I have to say. So, don't be afraid to ask questions in class. Don't be afraid to challenge the status quo. Don't be afraid to challenge what's commonly thought or believed. The reality is that, as our culture kind of moves slowly more and more away from Christ and away from Christianity, that they're going to start to hate the truth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so I guess that's kind of my big thing. Like, let's lean on Christ, let's lean on the Holy Spirit, and let's just kind of stand up for what's right and what's true, and have integrity in that, no matter what it costs you, no matter what friends you lose, and no matter if it gets you a bad grade or not. So anyways, that's all we got for you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the video. Subscribe to the video. What? That's not
subscribe to the channel.
Subscribe to the channel, because you can't. You know what? Subscribe to the video too. Okay. I don't come to where you work and tell you how to flip your burgers.